Victims and Villains, my name is Josh. Today we are traveling back to 1985 to talk about MaXXXine. Picking up 6 years after the events of X. This is just a quick PSA if you're not following our horror podcast, Abyss Gazing. We did a movie on X and Pearl, and you guys can find those wherever you guys get your podcasts from. Just search Abyss Gazing or hit the links in the show notes below. MaXXXine's past catches up with her as she tries to outrun her previous sins in order to forge a new identity as a Hollywood starlet. I feel like coming into this screening of MaXXXine, I was a little bit more prepared. I've spent the last month really familiarizing myself with the filmography of Ty West, who I really wasn't. X was kind of my entry point into him. I've since gone back and rewatched pretty much every major feature-length film that he has done. And honestly, I think this might be one of his most, if not his most ambitious film yet. So if you've seen X, X has a little bit of an religious undertone, televangelist kind of commentary on it, and that is expanded upon here. And for better or for worse, those elements are expanded upon quite largely here in MaXXXine. Now, I, for one, can recognize these elements of the story as rather one note, but I think that when all is said and done, they are used very smartly in the film's third act and the climax, and really fleshing out MaXXXine's story as well. Now, I don't want to get into spoilers about this movie whatsoever, but if you've seen other films that have taken place in this time period addressing this very specific historical event or legacy, a lot of this becomes predictable, but it's very entertaining. Now, this is the largest and most ambitious film in this trilogy. This has the biggest scope, and I think this also has the biggest swings in terms of storytelling. First two entries into this trilogy have a more reserved, almost intimate quality to them, whereas MaXXXine has a film that is not only ambitious, but also in scope, in terms of its storytelling, is a lot larger and a lot bigger than the other two entries. But hey, this is the 80s, so either you go big or you go home, and MaXXXine definitely went big. And I think some of those swings definitely do pay off, and some of those swings definitely just really fall flat. Mia Goth absolutely dominates the performance of MaXXXine once again. It feels like this really becomes her character with this, where it kind of felt like she was finding her footing, much like the character in X. Supporting cast also has an incredible time. I really loved getting to see Giancarlo Esposito. His role in this ended up being one of my favorites. Kevin Bacon, also a great performance here. Elizabeth Debicki, I think I said that name right, but she is fearlessly commanding also in this performance as well, just to name a few. Honestly, MaXXXine is one of those movies that doesn't have a bad performance. Everyone just kind of fires on all cylinders, and I think that just proves that this is a great direction from Ty West. I think over time, MaXXXine is definitely going to develop itself into a cult classic of sorts, because this film feels like it's a movie made for genre fans. I think this movie also offers a lot for non-genre fans as well. Has a great commentary on not only censorship, but also religious extremism, and kind of how the two kind of cross, or rather are at war with one another. And on the flip side, for genre fans, this film not only has a lot of great gags, but it feels like a throwback to the video nasty era of the 80s, or a lot of those B-movie slashers that you would find at Blockbuster on a Friday night. There's a little bit of like schlock and sleaze that's kind of thrown in here, and I think a lot of that really lends to the ambition of what West is trying to do. I think it leans a little bit more into the schlockier side, which makes this a little bit more palatable for me personally. I really enjoyed a lot of the large swings that I know a lot of people will complain about. But I'm ready to run this one through the Rorschach rating scale. I'm going to go ahead and give MaXXXine a 4 out of 5. I think, as I said, this is the most ambitious chapter into this trilogy. This is arguably also one of Ty West's most ambitious films that he has done to date. Mia Goth is great in here, Kevin Bacon, Giancarlo Esposito, Elizabeth Debicki. All of the performances in here are really stellar, but I think this film serves as a great dual commentary, not only on the war between censorship and religious extremism, but also does a great job at feeling like a schlocky throwback to the 80s direct-to-video era. Not to mention, it's a fitting end for the MaXXXine character. Like, I was fully satisfied coming out of this movie with the entirety of the arc between Pearl, X, and MaXXXine. I'm going to go ahead and keep this one short. So if you guys are interested in a spoiler-filled discussion where we are also going to be diving into the mental health of MaXXXine and a lot of the things that this film says about not only censorship, but sex and religious extremism and more, you guys can catch that right here on YouTube or wherever you guys get your podcasts from. Simply search Abyss Gazing. Our friend Hope from Mind Over Movies podcast is going to be joining us for that. You guys can check out their podcast. Link is going to be in the show notes below. MaXXXine opens up July 5th, this upcoming Friday from A24. If you guys got a chance to see the sneak preview tonight at your local cinemas, what did you guys think? Where does this land in the grand scheme of this trilogy? Comment below. Let me know. Until next time, remember to keep it classy and keep it spooky. Have a good one.